Outlander is one of the biggest and most loved TV shows on television right now. Outlander manages to keep both the fans of the original book series by Diana Gabaldon and the solo show viewers happy, which is definitely difficult to accomplish. Keep on watching as we discuss the best and worst seasons of Outlander. Let's talk about Season 4. Season 4 largely struggled with the introduction of a new villain, Stephen Bonnet, played by Ed Speleers. While the previous main villain of the show, Jack Randall, played by Tobias Menzies, was brought to life by an amazing and chilling performance from Menzies, he also presented an interesting psychological profile as a character. But Bonnet is just cartoonishly cruel, seemingly for the sake of creating obstacles for our protagonist. The show also struggled to grapple with Jamie and Claire's status as white settlers in America. All of the show's attempts to portray very real and serious issues like stolen indigenous lands and slavery are done through centering on Claire's experience. It's impossible to separate her whiteness from storylines portraying violence against people of color, which makes the whole thing just uncomfortable to watch. Now, let's talk about wasted potential. Season 4 also focuses on the relationship between Brianna and Roger, a confusing romance that never really lands the way it was supposed to. Roger's extremely sexist attitude towards Brianna is framed as romantic, and it's hard to make his unlikability as a character add up with how the show handles him. Brianna, on the other hand, has the potential to be a great character, but her storyline keeps getting overshadowed by the actions of the men around her. Her attitude and motivation seem to change suddenly and without much good reason, which seems like an unfortunate side effect of the show never really delving that much into her wants and needs. Now, some upsides. Despite being the show's weakest season so far, Season 4 does have some great moments. The series takes a separate path from the books to keep Murtaugh alive past the Battle of Culloden, making his reunion with Claire and Jamie one of the highlights of the season. Another highlight was Brianna and Jamie finally meeting, a long-awaited moment that definitely didn't disappoint. One of the best episodes from the season is Blood of My Blood, where we see Jamie be reunited with his son William and Lord John. John then comes down with the measles, and the viewers once again see the strength of Claire's character as she chooses the Hippocratic Oath over her own complicated feelings surrounding Jamie's past life and John's feelings for him. She sends William and Jamie away while she nurses Lord John back to health. Characters are developed, relationships are established, and the acting is superb. Now we have Season 3. The strongest element of Season 3 is owed to Menzies as Claire's first husband, Frank. His trying to adjust to his wife's return, as well as their attempts to fix their marriage, make for some very compelling scenes and great moments between Beth and Menzies. The second best element is, of course, Jamie and Claire's reunion halfway through the season. It was just as romantic and over the top as you'd expect, which was what made it perfect. While Claire and Jamie's time apart was a bit shaky at some points, the show really starts to lose its footing in the second half of the season. The reunion was very solid, but things got a little strange after that, even by the standards of a show that's about time travel. Some highs and lows. Pretty soon after Claire returns, Jamie's cousin Ian gets abducted by pirates, which leads to the couple taking off on a journey across the sea to rescue him. This storyline isn't very swashbuckling, but rather more mystical, though the whole thing just comes off as out of place and goofy. Season 3 does introduce us to what would go on to become a constant high point for the series moving forward, the addition of Marsali Fraser. Her marriage to Fergus made her a series regular, but her relationship with Claire is what's most interesting. Their dynamic goes from one of dislike and hostility to one of genuine mother-daughter fondness, which is very heartwarming to watch. An episode that is a controversial must-see from Season 3 is Of Lost Things. Jamie is faced with making some hard decisions as he struggles with the relationship with his son, the heartbreaking decision of leaving him, and whether he should even have a relationship with him in the first place. Meanwhile, Jamie's critical relationship with Lord John Grey is secured, whether for better or for worse. Next is Season 2. After Season 1 became a big success, Season 2 took some big risks that really paid off. Well, mostly anyway. While the first season was set in Scotland and primarily focused on Claire and Jamie's marriage and their romance, the second season changed the location to Paris and shifted the focus to the separation of our main couple. The Paris plot is sort of a mixed bag. There was a lot of positives, like costume designer Terry Dressbach going on to create some truly gorgeous looks for Claire and company, fully embracing the iconic fashion-forward society in Paris. The score didn't disappoint either, offering a creative and fun reflection of the changing setting, while the friendships Claire is able to form during their time there serve as a sweet way of giving her relationships outside of Jamie. Paris is also where the couple comes across and adopts Fergus, who quickly became a fan favorite. Let's talk about the confusing logic. It's Claire and Jamie's plans concerning the Jacobite rebellion where things went downhill. In fact, their ideas when it comes to time travel are too confusing to even consider. They both seem to accept that they can change the future, but following this logic, Jamie's reaction when Claire resists killing Frank's descendant is pretty confusing, given the implications it would have on Claire's own existence in the past. Though these issues do end up getting solved, or completely ignored, when the couple ends up returning to Scotland halfway halfway through the season, after which some excellent episodes take place. A great episode from Season 2 is The Hail Mary, which is the second to last episode of the season and is packed full of drama. The Frasers are doing everything possible to stop the Battle of Culloden, while Mary is pregnant out of wedlock and the father Alex is on his deathbed. We also find out important details about the fates of Alex, Mary, Gellis, and Black Jack Randall, which directly impact Claire's future timeline. Now we have Season 5. When it comes to the plot, Season 5 of Outlander has a focus that the show has been missing since its first season. Jamie gets his most interesting storyline yet, as he's stuck between protecting his godfather Murtaugh and his family. This conflict reaches its peak in one of the best episodes of the series, called The Ballad of Roger Mack. The show also finally figures out what to do with Roger after this episode, as he finally gets his time to shine, focusing on male bonding and the after effects of trauma. Now, development and payoffs. Marsali and Claire's relationship also continues to develop quite nicely, as Claire takes Marsali on as a medical assistant. Claire's story takes a backseat to Jamie's in Season 5, but the show makes sure to touch upon the bond between the pair that started it all. Brianna and Roger are still far from being the most compelling part of the show, but they do get an interesting storyline when they find out that their son is able to time travel, hence opening up the opportunity for them to return to the future with him. Their decision to stay at the end of Season 5 feels earned after all the time they spent with their extended family on Fraser's Ridge. The season had a very controversial ending when it came to Claire, putting yet another character through a cruel assault that will no doubt have a ripple effect throughout Season 6. One of the best episodes to watch from Season 5 is Never My Love, which does an amazing job of portraying trauma realistically. The song Never My Love by association is played while Claire daydreams of her life in the future. The viewers then find out that the daydreaming is a coping mechanism for her to distract from the horrifying abuse at the hands of her captors. Next, we have Season 1. No other season of Outlander has managed to outdo Season 1 in terms of consistency and quality. A lot of the success of the first season and all that came after was because of the character of Claire Randall. She's a refreshingly well-rounded female character, equipped with virtues and skills, as well as flaws and vices that make for a very compelling protagonist. The initial storyline of a woman who is stuck outside of her own time is fairly straightforward. The show does a great job of introducing the viewers to Claire before throwing her into dangerous and mysterious circumstances that she must navigate. Once she realizes that the impossible has happened, she has to rely on her own resourcefulness to try and figure out a way to get back to her time. Jamie makes things more complicated, but also better. Adding a new love interest to an already complicated situation forces Claire to make a choice between her old life and her new one. Of course, her choice, which the show builds up to skillfully, has consequences that result in the rest of the series, which fans have come to adore so much. One of the best episodes from Season 1 is The Wedding, where Jamie and Claire get coerced into marriage but make the best of the situation anyway. That's a wrap. See you in the next one.